Okay guys, I'm going to show you how to do some pre-typesetting formatting for the new issue of Measure. We do all the typesetting in InDesign, but before we do that we put it into a Word document because there's a bunch of stuff actually we can do in Word that's a little faster and more streamlined so that when we dump it into InDesign it's kind of ready to go. And the stuff that we do in Word ensures that most of the digital footprints in the documents and files that the poet sent to us are removed, and so that it's all clean and so that it's easier to make it look consistent. You'd be surprised how much unnecessary formatting and stuff people put in their poems when they email them to us. So this cleans all that up. First thing you want to do is just Control A, select the whole thing, and put the font into Baskerville 12. That's just the standard font we use. And then you just start formatting. Uh, Sometimes there will be bio material at the tops or bottoms of the poems, which is fine. Go ahead and just delete that. Make sure that you remember the poet's name and type it here if it's not there already for some reason, because you're going to delete that. And then I want to just backspace up to the top of the page and see how there's an italics still there. Just put that back to Roman type. Then I want to change this to Roman. And then I start the actual spacing part. So I backspace this up, and then there's one carriage return between the poet's name and the title. And then I start formatting the text of the poem. So this is indented over, you can see. Well, we want it to be flush left. It would be easy to just select all this and then scoot it over. But it's not good enough. You have to backspace. So backspace up to the end of the title, and then it's two carriage returns between the title and the beginning of the text of the poem. So then you just go through backspace, 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 and then remember if there are any stanza breaks to retain those. And I'm backspacing just to make sure there's no extra tabs over on the right hand margin over here, and you'll know it if you get to them, because we want that to be gone, because once we dump this into InDesign, any of those tabs are going to wreak havoc with typesetting. So this just makes, it's a little bit of work, but it makes a typesetting stage so much easier. So I just do this, not entertaining stuff, but also not very difficult. Just takes a little bit of time. Okay. Okay, so that's the basic idea. And this has an attribution at the bottom. It's dedicated to someone. That's fine. But that goes up here, actually. So I will paste that in. And then I still need a carriage return. So as I said earlier, there's two carriage returns between the title of the poem and the text, but because of this attribution, it's going to kind of look like three, but there's still essentially two, one above the attribution and one below. So then what we usually do for this is tab it over once, and then I will put in an M dash, which is Shift Option, and then the key just to the right of the 0 key at the top. That makes an M dash. And that's it. So, and M dashes, our style sheet, there's a space on either side. So if there were text on this side of the M dash, there'd be a space there too, but there's just empty space. So space goes before and after M dashes. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Go to the next one, and this is John Poach. So I am going to once again copy and paste his name here so I don't forget it. Take out that apostrophe S, because take out the biomaterial. I've got all the biomaterial, and I'm going to make up a separate bio section so you guys don't have to worry about that. So it would be easier to just do carriage returns down, but that's not going to work, because what can sometimes happen is the pagination will get all wonky if you just do carriage returns. What you want to do is make a definite break between the last line of the poem and the beginning of the next page's text. So how you do that is you do page break. So you just insert page break. You can do it with this way, but I just do keystrokes with most things. So on a Mac, it's Command Return, and that gets my page break. And so I'll start checking. Bring this back up. One carriage return. Here's the text of the poem. See, 1, 2 carriage returns. And then this one looks like it's good because it's spaced nicely and stuff, but check anyway. One way to check is to just use your arrow keys just at first instead of the backspace. And see, that goes right to the end of that line. So that's good. Same with that. That's good. No wonky formatting. Same with that. Same with that. That's good. Same with that. But you still need to check this. That's good. And this is just like this. This is the way he wrote this poem, this self-help sticking out down here, so that's fine. And then go down to the next one, and I see it's David Middleton. His name's already here, so I can do this without fear. And then backspace him up to the end of the last poem. One more page break. And this one is weird because he's done this before. This guy sent a lot of work to us, and he's very good. It's a poem about a painting. And because what he's done here is relatively rare to list the date of the painting and its medium right here, I don't recall if we have a particular style point on that. So if you run across something like this, don't worry. Just essentially can make it like this. I'll kind of straighten that out a little bit later. It's not a huge deal. But I still need to go through the text of the poem here and see there's a space right there where the cursor is. Backspace that to take that away. I know it seems trivial. And here's M dashes. Then you need a space. That's good. It's good. And then just go through. See? So I just used my arrow key there. And see how the cursor's way out there? So what you need to do is backspace. Take that away. Because if we dump this into the InDesign, it's possible that we would end up with some text out here because of weird tabs. So you just have to check that. So remembering that I have a stanza break here, I'll bring this up, back down. See, that's sticking out there a little bit. People who don't do layout work just don't realize what trouble this causes when they do it. And it's okay. I mean, it's not like we're going to blacklist them or anything, but it can be a little frustrating sometimes. So anyway, I think you get the idea. When I finish this poem, I'm going to show you one more thing. So this is a single line hanging out at the bottom. I think it'd be okay to just, you can see it's part of the next, Oh, I'm sorry, that was my mistake. It's just the last line of the poem. That's good. It happens to kind of fall on the last page, or the end of the page before spilling over to the next one. But I still want to backspace this. And David Middleton. So we have more than one poem by this guy, which means that we still need, I'm going to do page break here again. We still need to have his name before the next poem. Because even though we know that he sent us 2 poems, our readers cannot be expected to assume that. Okay, so 1 carriage return, 1, 2 carriage returns. All right. So I think you got the idea with the text of the poem so far. One more thing I want to show you. The other thing that we have as a style guide is with apostrophes and quotation marks. So you see how that's what's called a smart quote. It's not straight up and down. It's got a squiggle. It just is more pleasing to the eye when you read. So we've got that as a style guide. So one thing you should do is go to Edit, Find, Replace, and then my computer's set up to automatically do this, so I can just tell it find apostrophes, and it will find any straight, it'll find every apostrophe, but it'll also highlight ones that are just straight, and I can tell it to replace. I just hit apostrophe again, and it will replace them with what's so-called smart quotes. So do that, and do it also with quotation marks. Same deal. Quotation, quotation mark, tell it to do that. And then also with find and replace is spaces after periods. So here's how you do this. Our style guide is to have 1 space after a period, not 2. But some people will put 2 after periods. So you hit period, and I want you to find instances where there is 1, 2 spaces. Then I want you to replace that with 1. And see, this found 118 matches. I wonder, sometimes you have to see if I can find one where it's, you have to, well, goodness, where are they all? Okay, see here. So what that will do is that will change that to 1 space afterwards. And then you also have to tell it to imagine other instances where a sentence ends, right? So anytime there is a question mark with 2, or anytime there's quotation marks with 2, see, do that also. So think of those instances and do that find and replace. And that should be it. I'll go through it all again, but that's the brunt of it, and I hope all that makes sense. I thought this would be easier to do this instead of writing out these instructions, because I don't know, it's just kind of hard to explain some of it. So anyway, that's it. So good luck, guys, and